Hey everybody, this is Kevin Martin from Candlebox. You are on BackstageAccess.com, where the real show begins. Morning, or afternoon, or rather.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Just getting my day started.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, thank you for taking the time to chat with me today at Backstage Access. We appreciate it.
Oh, so happy to do it. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. So you've got a lot going on here in 2023. A lot of stuff going on with Candlebox, the 30th anniversary of the debut record. But before we talk about the goodbye, I thought maybe we could go back in time just a little bit and have you kind of fill us in about the early days of Candlebox really quick. And, the grunge scene was the thing then. So did you guys kind of purposely take your music in a different direction? And how did you kind of fit in with everything going on back in 93?
Well, I think it was more so that as a band, we were quite a bit younger in age. So I mean, when I was 16 years old, Soundgarden had released their second record, and the guys were, obviously on their ways to great success. For us, it was really, we were just such a different group of guys that made different music. And I think the thing that's interesting about the Seattle Sound is just that. Even though the label was given grunge, every single band is just so much different than the other bands. Mother Love Bone was, an arena rock Def Leppard type of a rock and roll band. But they were a little more glamorous, maybe like Queen, whereas Soundgarden was this progressive rock and roll band, and then Alice in Chains was a metal band. So it always seemed so odd to us that that was a term that was given to it. But the Seattle sound doesn't really sound as good as grunge, and really that's kind of what, we just look like grungy, dirty musicians. So maybe that's where the term came from. But we were just so much different, I think, and it wasn't just a conscious effort for us to make the music we make. It's what we wrote, and I think that that's the beauty of rock and roll music, anyways. In general, if you put four guys in a room or five guys in a room, all of those different influences are going to create whatever the sound is. And luckily for us, that just happened to be You, Far Behind, Cover Me, Change, Don't You, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, I think that the thing that just separated us from the other bands is that we were just a little bit younger.
Okay. Now, fast forward 30 years to 2023, and you're celebrating that 30th anniversary, but you've also announced, the end of Candlebox, um, at least as a touring and, recording band. So have you been contemplating that for a while, or did the 30th anniversary kind of bring all that into play?
No, I've been contemplating it actually for a couple of years. Right before COVID hit, we were supposed to do this same tour that we're doing now with Three Doors Down that summer of 2020. And I had considered that being the last Candlebox tour. But having discussions with my wife about my career and where we were moving with the band and things that were happening, she was kind of, instrumental in saying, why don't you wait until the 30th anniversary? It seems like a great way to put a nice little bow in things, tie it up and put it away. You've reached a certain goal that you set out to achieve. And if all goes well, it'll be a really great, enjoyable year for you. And so it was mainly her concept for me to do this, which, I mean, if I were her, I would have had me do it 20 years ago. But, you know, she's a smart woman, and she knows what she's talking about, and she really understands me as a person. And I think realized that I wasn't fully, subconsciously ready to put it away 2 years ago. So I think that it really had a lot to do with that's quite an accomplishment. 30 years is no small feat. And it's for me, it's a, kind of a legacy sort of thing, is that the band reached 30 years and, put it away and said goodbye to everybody. And that's a hard thing to do. I mean, emotionally, like last night in St. Louis, we had an amazing show. And I think the weight of what I've decided to do is really starting to settle in with me, emotionally. So there were a few moments last night. I was like, man, I'm really going to miss this. This is going to be something that I hadn't really thought about.
Right. Bittersweet in a lot of ways, I'm sure. But
Right.
you're not going quietly because you've got a lot going on. You've got the long goodbye, the new record that's going to be out shortly. So tell us a little bit about the new record.
So yeah, The Long Goodbye comes out August 25th. It was a collaborative effort on the part of the band and outside songwriters. I wanted to make a record that was really a statement about the 30 years that I've had as an artist and the things that I've enjoyed, the things that I've missed, the things that I've lost, the pain and the beauty of my career. And I did that with the guys in the band because I wanted it to be an incredibly different record for us. And I mean, I think we went to the studio with 18 songs, and we recorded 13 for the album. I think there's only 10 on the digital release, and the rest are coming out on the vinyl. But it was really about us putting our best foot forward as a group rather than most of the time I would write with either Adam, my bass player, or Ivan, my guitar player, or Brian, my guitar player. And this time the five of us sat in the room and we just went through the process of writing these songs. And we didn't stop ourselves if we felt that we were going in a direction that was maybe way too far away from where Candlebox should be headed. If it led us to the place where we wanted to get, we kept it. And that's something that we normally wouldn't do. A lot of times if we think that we're getting a little bit too far from our fans' listening base, we'll try and reel that in. And we didn't do that on this record. We let it go wherever it went. We have, a song called Cell Phone Jesus. We have a song called Nails on a Chalkboard. These are things that I would never have come up with had I not been writing with people who have such great influence and such great ideas. These five young songwriters that I worked with for the lyrics on this record are just, incredible talents. Chief, Ryan, Claire, Nick from Mona, Don Miggs. I mean, just really lovely songwriters. John Luzzi, who I've known for years, I've never written with before, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, God, I could have been doing this all along, you know. But it's great. It's great to get outside influence in music that when you really want to put yourself in a position that is creative. I think that it's good to pull outside influence in. So I'm super happy with this record. I think our audience is going to love it. I think that there's a brand new audience in this record as well. And, fingers crossed, if the record does well, I won't be retiring at the end of the year. I'll have to tour on it. So, get out there and buy that record, and I'll see you next year.
Absolutely, absolutely. Was there any extra pressure on you in the band, being that this is going to be the final album, to kind of do it in a different way, or any kind of expectations that you had set maybe for yourself?
No, I mean, I think that's the thing. I think that by doing it the way we wanted to do it and knowing that this was the last record, we were able to be as free as we wanted with it. I mean, it's not like we're trying to impress anybody at this point. So it's really about, we wanted to see how far we could go. And I love this record. I think it's super cool. There's so many interesting changes and left turns and right turns on it. And I think that's exactly the record that I wanted to make, and I couldn't be happier with it.
Awesome, awesome. Now, you guys are also in the midst of this final tour, and you've got headline dates. You've got the dates with Three Doors Down, some festivals thrown in there. Have you been playing any of the new music?
Yeah, we play Punks in the show we do at Three Doors Down. That's predominantly the debut album, that set. I think it's 10 songs from the debut album and then Punks. And then during our live set, we play three new ones of our own in our own time. As we do Cell Phone Jesus, Elegante, What Do You Need, or we do Punks, What Do You Need, Cell Phone Jesus. So yeah, we're hoping to start putting, a few more in after the record comes out and people get used to it. It'd be nice to play, 4 or 5 from the new record because it's just such a fun album, and it's fun to play new stuff live. For us, it's a pleasure. So, well, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I think right now we're just going to stick with the three in our headline shows, and then Three Doors Down, we'll just stick with Punks because it's the first single.
Mm-hmm. And what about the reaction to the new music? Fans that are there to hear, that debut album, like in the new stuff?
Yeah, well, it seems to be working. Last night when we played Cell Phone Jesus, the crowd went nuts for it. So I guess maybe we're doing the right thing.
Awesome, awesome. Now the album is named The Long Goodbye, and if it does well, like you said, maybe you'll be touring again. Do you think you'll see tour dates going into the winter and maybe into next spring?
That's if the record does well, that would be the plan. Yeah, I mean we've been we've got some Australia dates that have been offered to us. We're trying to figure out if we can go do those. And that would probably be the spring of next year. So I would say that statewide, things end up in October for us, but stranger things have happened, and it is a long goodbye, and sometimes long goodbyes get extended out a little bit. But I would say you won't see anything going into further than the spring of next year. No.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Now, looking back at your 30 years in Candlebox, any regrets or anything you wished you would have done differently?
I mean, no regrets. There's a lot of things I wish I'd done differently. There's always time to think about the past, and I think if you dwell on it too much, it makes it very difficult to move forward. And with me, all those things that happened with Candlebox, actually the documentary that's coming out later in the year addresses all of it. But those were all learning curves. And the thing is they led me to where I am now. And I think that that's the way I look at life. Is it always takes you where it's supposed to take you if you allow it to. And in the sense that if I ever thought to myself, God, what a great loss that was, and how much I regret that, that's just not going to allow me to move forward. It's easy to do that, and I don't want to be that person. There are things that I would have done differently, but the beauty of where I'm at in my life now is that I'm having the time of my life, and I'm enjoying being a father and being a husband, and touring with my buddies on the road, and it's all going really well for me. So if I'd done anything differently, I don't know if I'd be here now.
Fair enough. If given the chance, would you do it all again?
Absolutely.
Awesome. And we would be here to listen. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. It was a pleasure. Best of luck with the long goodbye, and I hope it does very well for you guys, and you can extend that goodbye just a little bit further out into next year.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
In the